Axum's story and how the Kunama were pushed out of the center of history. Timeline: from Kunama Axum to Habesha Axum, ancient indigenous era before 1000 BCE. The Kunama and related groups lived across Tigray-Eritrea highlands and the western plains. Their culture was agro-pastoralist, with a strong connection to ancestor veneration, earth spirits, and megalithic stone traditions. Archaeological evidence of stone monuments and tumuli, burial mounds, in the Horn predates Semitic arrivals. This is the forgotten base. The first builders of stone culture in the region may not have been Habesha at all. Pre-Axumite era, 1000 to 400 BCE. Contacts with South Arabian, Sabaean traders brought new religious and architectural ideas. A new ruling class emerged, blending indigenous Cushitic/Nilo-Saharan peoples, including Kunama, with Sabaean migrants. The foundations of Axumite culture, stone pillars, sacred enclosures, ancestor cults, show strong African indigenous roots, though later rebranded as South Arabian. Kunama were part of this hybrid society, but their role was never written into the royal inscriptions. Axumite Kingdom, 100 CE to 700 CE. The Kingdom of Axum rose as a trade empire linking Africa, Arabia, and the Mediterranean. The Staley Field, like in the photo, was created to honor kings, but the tradition of erecting stones for ancestors was older, possibly from indigenous Kunama practices. Around 330 CE, King Azana converted to Christianity. This was the turning point. Axum became a habesha Christian identity center. Indigenous spiritual systems, earth rituals, ancestor shrines, were now seen as pagan. Kunama, still nearby, were excluded from power and portrayed as outsiders. Medieval Abyssinia, 700 to 1500 CE. As Axum declined, new Christian dynasties, Zagwe, then Solomonic, rose in the highlands. The Kunama were gradually pushed westward, out of the fertile highland centers into marginal lands near the Eritrean-Ethiopian border. Chronicles written by habesha monks and kings rewrote history, tracing Ethiopia's origin to King Solomon and Queen of Sheba, not the indigenous peoples. The Kunama became invisible in these records, remembered only as pagans or slaves. Imperial expansion, 1500 to 1900 CE. Abyssinian rulers expanded, seizing more Kunama land. Kunama were subjected to raids, slavery, and forced labor. Their history of once living in the Axum region was completely erased from written history. Colonial era, 1800s to 1900s. European explorers and scholars arrived. They adopted the Abyssinian narrative, praising Axum as the center of Christian Semitic civilization in Africa. The Kunama and other indigenous groups were labeled as primitive tribes, even though their traditions were older than Axum itself. This cemented the erasure. The world saw Axum as Habesha from the start. Modern era, 1900s to today. The Kunama remain marginalized, often displaced during wars between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Their oral histories still recall being part of the highlands before being pushed away. The stelae of Axum still stand, but they are remembered only as habesha monuments, not as part of a wider, older African story. The core truth: Axum did not start as Habesha. It was built on the cultural foundations of indigenous peoples like the Kunama. Through religion, conquest, and colonial scholarship, this truth was erased and replaced with a Solomonic Habesha origin myth.
Walk this journey with me. Like and subscribe, not for numbers, but for remembrance. Let your ancestors know you have seen their greatness. Let them feel your footsteps walking in theirs. May they guide you, protect you, and keep you in harmony with the earth, the sky, and all living things.